backstage at Knotfest, pitch of Discontent, Owen back again, and we have Jake from Health joining us. Jake, hello.
Hello, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome, dude. How you doing?
Doing okay. I got here yesterday, so I'm like a little out of it, but generally okay.
I mean, you guys are traveling a lot, touring a lot. Do you have like a little home remedy for your jet lag situation?
You know, I used to cure it with copious amounts of booze, but I don't do that anymore.
Okay, are you a sober guy now?
Fucking fortunately.
Okay.
But, you know, it wasn't my choice.
Okay, fair enough.
No, but that used to work. Even if I was still doing that, I think that would just destroy me. It would just be, I would get wherever I was going, and then we would all get hammered, and then you'd at least be kind of on time.
Okay. Yeah.
But you generally feel terrible afterwards.
Yeah, it's a trade-off.
So try a little melatonin.
Okay, nice.
Try to, you know, I don't like to eat on the plane.
Okay. Real talk right now, airplane food sucks. It's bad for you, turns your guts to concrete. It's awful.
I just don't think it's good for getting you into feeling good. I very much agree. Like,
no.
Like, give me the food. I'm just like, I don't need the food.
I fast on every plane trip that I do.
Yeah.
Even if it's like a 16-hour flight, I fast the whole thing. I'll drink some black coffee, water, hydrate.
That's what I just did coming over.
Beautiful.
16-hour flight, didn't eat anything. I think that actually helps.
We are simpatico, my friend. That's the way to do it.
It's trash. It's not food.
It's not good.
Yeah, it doesn't help you.
You guys are back to play Knotfest. We last caught up with the band. We did a little episode with Johnny backstage at the Melbourne show at the Northcote Theatre. What's it been like in the health camp since your last tour here? What have you guys been up to?
Oh, shit, it hasn't been very long. Writing new music, trying to get a new record ready.
Okay.
And then subsequent the last time we were here, we did a full European tour and some US festival dates. So last year was pretty busy. Yeah. Pretty crammed the whole time.
So now you're kind of in that creative space a little bit?
Yeah, we still have a fair amount of dates this year, but it's a little less on than 2024 was, and then I think 2026 will be quite busy as well.
Okay. And what's the headspace like for this new record? Are you guys trying something different? Are you like where are you pulling inspiration from for the new record?
I think mainly the inspiration is coming from the experience of playing all the live shows and trying to stay connected to the immediacy of that interaction with whether or not it's headline show, fan reciprocity, or festivals where you're drawing a larger pool of people that maybe are just curious to see what your band is like. I think that a negative thing that can happen is just the almost arbitrary forced record cycle / touring cycle nature of the music industry.
Yeah, the 2 year do album, tour album, record album, rinse, repeat.
Exactly, and a lot of times what happens is you distance yourself emotionally and intellectually from the immediacy of seeing what it's like to play that music to your fans and to other people. And then you go to write new music, and you know, maybe you're drawing more from the music you've been listening to lately. Yeah. Or you know, an album that you loved in the past or whatever, but it's harder to access that. Yeah. So we're trying to stay, ideally what I'm trying to accomplish is keep the two cycles going at the same moment. So staying creative. So I think that the last record is much more of a, I wouldn't call it a concept record, but it's the closest to a concept record we've made, and it's very albumy.
Yes.
And I didn't want to try to duplicate that. I think it's in the same, what I would call production or aesthetic world. Okay. We usually force ourselves into some huge sea change production shift that demarcates each record. Yeah. These are going to come so close together that they are in the same aesthetic universe.
Okay, that's cool.
But
kind of like The Empire Strikes Back compared to The New Hope.
I mean, the best analogy I would make without sounding up my own ass would be like Kid A Amnesiac or something.
Okay, all right, yeah, I fuck with that.
Not because of cultural import, but just that they're from the same sessions.
No, I get it.
It wasn't like, oh, this now is a totally different sounding record.
Yeah, that'll be the pool quote. Jake says, health is Radiohead.
Yeah, that's not what I mean. I just meant in terms of it being one it's not a double. We even toyed with the idea of a double album.
Yeah.
But I feel like double albums are only good ideas to bands. There are there is almost zero good double albums.
Ooh,
there are plenty of double albums that have great music.
Yes.
But a lot of them, I would say the vast majority of them, would be better if they were single albums and they were edited down.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
And I think
conceptually, not many of them are hitting the length of a double album. And
I think it's just hard to kill. It's also just hard to kill your darlings.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, there are some bands like if you become a Clash fan, part of being a Clash fan is just accepting that half of the record is full of terrible music.
And then the singles are
the best songs you've ever heard.
Incredible, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like London Calling followed by Brand New Cadillac. You're like, what the fuck? Like the dizzying highs, the absurd lows.
Yes.
So yeah, so we didn't want to do that. So it's kind of like an overture towards a double album type thing.
Okay.
But I think that this is more up tempo. It's kind of more jammers.
Yeah, I liked what you were saying about not wanting to fall into that rote kind of restrictive cycle for recording albums. I was talking to Spencer from Under Oath the other day, and he said that with their new album, he only wanted to do it when they had something to say.
Yeah.
And he was like, if we're not on the same page with that kind of idea, then there's no point in recording an album because it'll just be forced.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of take that idea and ask you, what are you trying to say with the new Health material?
I think for us, we've been doing this long enough that we were surprised by the reaction to the last record, because I think it was maybe the record that we worried about the least in terms of, okay, do we have a real single?
Yeah.
What kind of record is this? We sort of felt like we understood aesthetically where the moment we were at, and it was fairly effortless.
Yeah.
And enjoyable to make. And so I totally agree with, if you don't have something to say, I think that there's a lot of different layers to that onion, though, because you look at a lot of the bands that are on this festival, for example, when you have a traditional band infrastructure, writing a record is a lot more complicated. We write records in a very modern way.
Yeah.
Demoing is constantly happening at home studios. We don't really need to be in a real studio unless we're tracking drums. It's sort of a much more hybridized, modernized approach where Ableton is your friend, and there's all kinds of... So I can understand that it's complicated to get a group of guys and maybe live in different cities and have disparate lives.
Yeah, they all go to a cabin for 2 weeks and collaborate and write and demo
having everybody be in the same headspace and have a unification of vision, that makes that a lot more difficult.
For sure.
I think that for me, especially recently, the main thing that I've been trying to do, it's not a statement of saying that I don't believe in writer's block, but I think that like anything, you kind of have to be doing it a lot.
Yeah.
If you're doing it and you're getting diminishing returns and you're not feeling like anything's happening, then it makes total sense to unplug for a while.
Sure.
But I have felt that it's been sort of quintessential to me in terms of staying well mentally to be writing music.
Yeah.
So if that changes, and I've had that happen to me where I ended up needing to focus on something else more, then maybe there would be more of a delay. But for now, what I really just, I didn't want, if you think about it this way, when you finish a record,
Yeah.
if it's a shitty record, then maybe not. But if you make a record and it's a good record and it's a record that your fans resonate with, there's something tragic about the fact that right then, when you have understood that record the most and how to write it, then you stop.
Yeah.
You know, it's a weird...
That is a weird
And eventually,
thing.
of course, you do have to let something go and go out into the world, but that can be very creatively, I think, disadvantageous.
Yeah, it's kind of
So-
stunting creatively to
Exactly.
like have to kind of, I don't know, furtively get rid of
I
something.
mean, you look at like Sabbath, you know, it's like Paranoid gets written as the last song because they're like, let's try to write one more, we'll make it catchy.
Yeah.
And then it's a song that changes rock and roll forever. They have to rename the album. Obviously, that doesn't happen that often, but I don't think that there's no way that's a coincidence that happens after they finish an entire record of great
I
music.
see what you mean, yeah. When everything's well oiled, when everything's all kind of firing,
And that sort of apocryphal story has really stuck with me. Is it so? Even when I'm finishing a record, I always just feel like, well, it'd be good to just keep writing, because what if
Why stop?
Because what if you do something that is in the same aesthetic language that what you just understood so well, and it's better than anything else you did before.
Yeah. You want to capture that.
If you're just fucking around watching Netflix because you need to sign off, you're not going to do that.
No, I agree. I'm excited to hear the stuff. It sounds like you guys are very in the zone right now. I'm excited to see you play with your set at Knotfest, but I wanted to ask you to kind of wrap things up. Do you remember the first time you heard Slipknot, and what was that experience like for you?
I mean, I think I was trying to remember where I was when I first heard it. I think the thing that struck me so much at the time was that they were already becoming a cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
And I had never seen any kind of music that was that aggressive, becoming
that big.
So big.
Yeah.
Because, there's the blueprint for heavy music becoming huge. You have Metallica. Like, Metallica writes, they're incredibly melodic, especially with what catapulted them to the mainstream, rock radio songs.
Yeah.
And
that's like 5-6 albums in, right?
Yeah, and when Slipknot exploded, obviously they had a huge MTV hit with one, but when Slipknot exploded, and then the presentation on stage, how aggressive and transgressive the live shows were, like they'd go up and fucking hit each other and shit. I just was incredibly awed that something so heavy was becoming a mainstream pop phenomenon. Is the wrong word, because it wasn't pop, but it was on that scale.
No, and you're completely right. I mean, we are literally at Knotfest,
which has been going on for a long time.
So they've asserted that cultural footprint, and they've held it for decades. So it is kind of a crazy thing.
And I think the little footnote I'd say on that is that years ago, because we're a Los Angeles band, at the Coachella Fairgrounds, which is the Empire Polo Field, they did a thing called the Big Four.
Okay.
So it's Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Anthrax.
Oh, like the thrash Big Four.
Yeah.
Cool.
And really, the hierarchy of that is you're still opening for Metallica because it's just record sales or whatever.
Sure.
But when you actually look at, obviously new metal has had this massive resurgence recently in Korn and Slipknot and Deftones and all these bands, or bands like Limp Bizkit, which have been put in the bin, are now hugely culturally relevant to 20-year-old Zoomers.
Yeah.
But I think that really Slipknot is the one that was missing from that festival.
I agree, yeah.
Because they're in that ballpark of being able to have their own festival.
I mean, in terms of 21st century Big Four, they're at the top for sure.
Exactly.
Dominating. Cool. I think that is all the time that we have. Jake, thank you for coming on the show. This was dope.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
We are backstage here at Knotfest for Picture Discontent. Owen back again. Joining me is Jake Taylor from In Heart's Way. Jake, how you doing?
I'm good.
What's going on?
Ready to play a festival far earlier than I would like, because it's not every day that you get to play in the sunlight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that an uncommon thing for you guys? Or?
Yeah. It's just in general, I think you get used to playing your own headline shows.
At midnight or whatever.
Exactly. We're going on stage at midnight, and that's what we've been used to this whole month, going on at midnight.
Yes.
Everyone's so lit, and it's dark, and there's lights. And it's just a change of pace, but it's nice to have a change.
Yeah. Let's get into that, because you've just wrapped up your summer tour. You're out on the road playing a bunch of regional shows, as well as like capital city shows. You're with Ocean Sleeper, friends of the show Relica and Inertia. What was the vibe like? How are you feeling?
Really, really good.
Yeah. The shows looked insane.
Yeah, they were insane. I think our expectation was just like they'll be good.
Yeah.
And they were great. And that's just it was curated. We curated the artist specifically. It's really nice having that sort of care and control, us self-managing our band, and we have these conversations, and we really pick those bands not just for their music, but also for the people and the things that we'd heard, and then putting the group together. It was like this great building of energy throughout the night. And I really feel that there was diversity, but there was also similarities, that it didn't shock the crowd too much going this way, that way.
I saw heaps of stuff on people's like Instagram stories and everything, and people just seemed to be vibing and just having a good time. Backstage energy was good. There were people on like boogie boards and shit in the pit. It looked crazy.
Yeah, it was a proper summer tour, and it really, really was nice. And look, I each night I give permission to people to like whatever they're holding on to out there in the world, like that it doesn't serve them, but this can be a place for them to let it out. And
it's catharsis.
So pure catharsis, and there was a furiousness to it that knew that it had an end without it being this aggressive, like let me fight people. It was good.
I think that's what heavy music is supposed to do, right? Like we can like take all of that aggression and that anger and like let it out in a very like healthy, positive, collective way. Even if you are kind of like beating people up, it's like all for good fun.
And it can also go the other way. I think there's a responsibility for the artists or the people, let's say, with the microphone sometimes to set those parameters and create a container of safety. Like when I say safety, it's like organized chaos, but allowing it and inviting it without it being pure anarchy.
Speaking of organized chaos, I would like to bring up the Great Western Hotel Rodeo circle pit that I saw. I was born in Rockhampton, so I'm very familiar with that venue. And when I saw the footage, I was like, no fucking way. Was that a planned thing, spontaneous thing?
It was planned in that we planned it 5 minutes before the set. Legit, 5 minutes before the set. It was a quick conversation saying, oh my God, what if we went to the bull ring, which is next to the stage? How do we get those lights on? And the owner was like, what did you say? I can do that. Straight away. Like,
love it.
And the venue was a Lee Kernigan, like ex-venue. Like he used to own it. So it's like fully set up for rodeos, like I guess selling cattle. I don't know what goes on there.
All sorts of shit. Country shit.
Yeah, country shit. So it wasn't your typical metal venue. It was like an open air, Yellowstone meets metal.
Hell yeah, let's go. I don't know. It's not something you see every day, especially in this kind of scene, right? Like to go from like a Knotfest environment to that environment, very different, but very cool.
We are at the Flemington race. It's not quite.
This is true.
Imagine 20,000 people running down around the.
You could do it.
The turf would get so. Imagine the turf guys.
I imagine the Flemington people would be slightly more angry than old mate at the Great Western.
They'd be livid.
Yeah.
They'd be livid. No brisket to go with it.
No brisket. No. Beef capital of the world, Rockhampton.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Let's talk about the last record. So, I would go out on a limb and say that it's your best record. I feel like there was a new creative energy in the band to really kind of assert your place and a new kind of like creative focus. Is that something that you would agree with? What was your mindset coming into the last record?
I'd say there was a fire, like a creative fire that was ignited. It was, we don't want to, how badly do we want it? We didn't want to let it go. So that ignited a fire. And then the B element of that is like a reclamation of the band and that energy carrying through in many things that we felt needed to be said in a furious, like unapologetic way.
The album also had a lot of guest features, a lot of great guest features. I wanted to ask you, like, how do you approach that conversation with other artists that you might know, that you respect? Like, do you invite them into the kind of like songwriting process? Do you let them bring a little piece of themselves, or are you like, we need it like this, and you're going to do this?
It's actually, it can be both, and it was both for this. Usually, to invite them in, they need to be around. And often artists are on tour and stuff, so it's really hard.
And we're on the other side of the world. It's hard.
So, look, but we got lucky with one where we literally invited all 5 artists from Michigan who were in the area who played a show that night nearby to come into the studio and write this song with us. For the Fallen Dreams, King 810, Heartsick, a few bands. And so that was like pure chaos with 30 people in a room, like just trying shit.
Yeah.
But then there's a element like Winston where I've pre-recorded the part, and I basically sent him a text and the bit, and he's going to be going, I'd like to be part of it, but let me see what I think about it. And like, luckily for us,
he was into it.
30 seconds later, he's like, I'm in.
Yeah.
And then he brought his flair and he puts his tweaks on things to make it Winston.
And I would imagine like you can have an idea of like how you want it to sound, but you also like are ready to kind of capture that spontaneous thing and let them kind of like just roll with it and do their own shit.
For sure.
And that's going to create a better kind of thing on the record.
Yeah. That's why you want them for a piece of what they are.
Yeah. So let's talk about Knotfest then. So you guys are playing early in the day. What's your approach to playing a festival show versus like a club show, the headline run that you were just talking about? What's the mindset shift going into playing a stage show?
Well, look, we're here, at the end of the day, we're here to entertain.
Okay.
Not that we aren't always there to entertain. However, one can't assume that everyone, knows who you are.
Sure.
So it's an opportunity. It's a really good opportunity, festivals. And to win people over and to also expose them to the music that you want to play.
Yeah.
And how to do that, especially in the daylight hours. It's just you're basically playing hype man for 35 minutes.
Yeah.
But you want to entertain.
I'm sure you're familiar with that role.
Yeah.
It comes naturally to you.
Yeah, thanks, dude. So there will be plenty of very entertaining moments today beyond the song. So it's that much. There'll be the comedy, there'll be all kinds of shit.
The banter.
And there'll also be some, I don't want to use the word serious stuff, but like we've got some really cool things.
Yeah, well, there's a message behind the band, right? Like you guys are like talking about important shit and trying to like, spread awareness and a message with your music as well.
Well, yeah, because that's the stuff that we're passionate about.
Of course.
If you're going to scream about shit you care about.
Yes, indeed. To end, what was the first Slipknot song you ever heard? And what did it do to you chemically, spiritually, physically?
Whoa.
Save the best for last for you.
Yeah. To be honest, I don't have a particular song. My exposure to Slipknot was being at my mate's house and in high school, and him just loving Slipknot so much. It's all he would play, and we would play billiards. Like he had a pool table, and then we go to the local hardcore shows, which Parkway were playing, and so there I'm going to Parkway, showing him the hardcore bands of Australia, and he's like into Slipknot, being like, will I like what Australia's doing, because I'm just a kid that came from another school.
Gotcha.
So that was the kind of our two worlds. He was going for more of they're not mainstream, but they were in the mainstream of metal.
Sure.
And I was going to the hardcore shows, bringing the other elements. So
Bridging the divide.
Bridging the divide. That's my first exposure to Slipknot, and just really digging all the Dees quiches, we call them, just getting into the Dees quiches.
Technical term. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, Jake, thank you very much for coming on the show. This has been dope.
Pleasure.
Sick. Backstage at Knotfest, it's the pitch of Discontent. Owen again. I've got Joseph from Sunami with me. Joseph, hello.
Hello, thanks for having me.
No worries, dude. Thank you so much for making time with us. We were just chopping it up a little bit. I missed the set, but I heard the set. It sounded fucking heavy. How are you feeling after it?
Great. It blew my expectations as being the opening band, but it was great.
What was the pit like? Did you see some carnage?
There was it was moving the whole time, and there's people that I recognized. It was a great time.
Fuck yeah. I've seen you guys twice here in Australia, and most of those shows have been small club shows, very intense, everyone packed into a room. What's the mental space like for you to play something like Knotfest at a big ass stage, lots of room? Do you have to try and like, I don't know, get out there and psych people up? Like, I'm sure it's a different vibe, right?
Yeah. In my head, I'm like, how do I compensate with such like a big stage?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm kind of just doing what I normally do.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. By the time this is published, it'll be out, but I know you guys have a surprise split coming out with Pain of Truth.
Yes.
Which I've heard. It fucking crushes. Congratulations
Thank you.
on that. What was the vibe like for you guys on this latest release as opposed to the last full length? Like, what were you trying to do with this split?
It's kind of hard. We just wanted to be ourselves, but kind of like level up in terms of like musicianship.
Sure.
And I feel like we did that. We didn't want to try too hard, but we just, whatever came out, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah. So with like the writing process, do you guys like demo a lot of stuff beforehand? Are you just trying to like kind of capture magic in the studio? Like, how does a Sunami track come to life? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not the most smartest way, but we kind of just capture like the magic at the studio. We kind of just come in with like almost zero ideas.
Okay.
And we just vibe it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's worked so far.
I follow Mike on Instagram, and like he's always posting clips of him just like riffing shit out. So I'm sure he's got lots of ideas, and like once he brings it to the table, he's like, let's go.
Yeah, he's kind of like the mastermind with like riffs, and then we kind of somewhat teamwork together to like place them all.
Yeah.
But he's kind of just like the brains behind it.
Yeah, sick. I've been talking to artists today about recording new releases and new albums, and like one of the themes is being like not forcing yourself to put something out and only really doing it when you have something to say. And I know like with your style of music, like it's very aggressive, very pointed in terms of like shit that you're talking about. So like on these newer songs, like what are you trying to say? Are there like some themes or ideas that you're trying to get across?
Not necessarily themes. I feel like I'm definitely like, it's kind of just like a general like anger towards like someone or something. Not necessarily like at an actual person, but I feel like it relates to a lot of people.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, like, I don't know, I can't speak for your country, but like I know things are pretty kind of fucked up in the US at the moment. So like, do you draw from like social life, political life? Like, does that shit make you angry as well?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I know that's a bit of a stupid question, but yeah, I can imagine it would.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I guess like what's next for Sunami? Like obviously you're doing the Knotfest run, you have some side shows as well. What's the rest of 2025 looking like for you?
Lots of touring.
Yeah. You guys are on the road all the time.
Yeah. I think our last show was with AWOL in Melbourne.
Yeah.
They came to the States in November or
Those
something
shows
like
look
that.
sick,
Yeah, it was awesome. But that was the last time we played, which is a few months ago.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but then starting in May, we're gonna tour off that Pain of Truth release that we're talking about.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of nonstop.
So
after that.
it's kind of crazy to me. Like I mentioned, I've seen you twice before, and I think that's in the space of like 3 years maybe, and this is the third time that you're in the country. So like, it's cool for you guys to make it down here a lot, which a lot of bands don't really do. What is it about Australia that you love? Like, why do you keep coming back?
Yeah, so we came here for the first time because Speed invited us.
That's right. Crazy tour.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah, but I feel like the connections that we made were so genuine that we had such a good time that like I feel at home here. So we're always gonna come back, and then like a teaser, we are coming back again this year.
Oh shit!
So like I'll come to Australia anytime I can.
We can't keep you out.
No,
we got to get a visa, brother. Get you down here. All right, to wrap things up, I know this has been a nice and short one, but I've been asking all of the artists, what was the first Slipknot song you ever heard, and was it a life-changing moment for you? Do you remember when you heard it?
I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm the wrong person to ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Have you seen them live before?
I've seen them a few times.
Okay, the live show is pretty sick.
I got into them like way ahead of life.
Okay.
Obviously, I like Iowa, the whole record.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be able to tell you like a specific song.
Yeah, that's fair enough. No worries. I think the live show is definitely where it's at, and they're gonna fucking crush here today.
Oh,
yeah. Joseph, thank you very much for coming on the show. This has been sick.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, dude.
Just a traitor in my eyes, walker.
good. We look good.
Hey.
Have a little baggie.
Someone's having
Not
fun.
ours. Not ours.
Oh,
Okay.
just yeah. We'll bring that into the interview sometime.
We
Like,
are
whoa,
backstage at Knotfest. Owen for the pitch of Discontent once again. I have the boys from Polaris with me. Fellas, what's going on?
G'day, g'day. Good to be here.
How you doing? Very good. Thank you so much for having us.
You're very, very welcome. It's been a while since we had a chat. I think last time I did something with you guys was at the Triffid in Brisbane in like 2018 on the first album. So it feels like a fucking lifetime ago.
That is a bit of a lifetime ago.
It is, yeah. We'll admit, it's a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you guys have been doing a lot of stuff. You put out Fatalism in 2023. I know that was a difficult record for you guys for a number of reasons, but with a little bit of distance from the release, how are you guys feeling about the record's reception?
We were just really stoked on the reception.
Yeah.
The album was coming out at a time where the record was obviously still a massive priority for us, but not the only thing that was taking up our conscience. And it was, the outpouring of support that we received and the positive reactions to the record that we saw and heard and continue to hear, and the love for the songs. It was, it was a really special thing to have at the time, and at a time where it wasn't our main focus, it kind of really was. It felt like Australia really backed the record, and that was a really nice thing for us in particular.
Yeah, as an outsider looking in, I think that was definitely what I saw from the community, because it's a great record.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You've got a lot of stuff hanging over it, but the record speaks for itself, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it was written over lockdown, so it's that kind of record, and it was a COVID album, and so it had its own kind of statements as well. But I think it's now been coloured and has it has a different connection with our audience, I think, and ourselves. We look at that record and some of those songs in particular, and just the path that we took to writing them in a different light to a degree.
I think I was reflecting on the last time that I spoke to you guys, mainly just because the band's live show has leveled up so much.
Oh,
you guys have leveled up so much. You're playing bigger shows, bigger crowds, doing bigger shit. I just saw the NRL collab announcement.
Yep.
Fucking crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Very unreal experience.
What was it like when you guys got approached for that? Were you just
I was watching RuPaul's Drag Race on the couch with my missus and saw the email pop up at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and I literally did the get fucked. Tori, take this, and she's just, wait, what? And I'm like, nah, this is real, right? Are you kidding me? And then it happened so quickly too. From that point to when we shot it was no more than 2 and a bit weeks.
Yeah, they don't mess around.
Yeah,
we got
it was
that
very quick.
stuff
This is what we
shot
want.
quickly.
This is the schedule. We need a number this date.
And the team we worked with is unreal, so professional.
Yeah.
We got in, I think we only did a handful of, the one that's come out, we only did a single shot each, didn't we? Yeah, it was a single take and we were done. So, real easy day for us, real cool to see how all of that works and stuff.
Very grateful to be a part of it and to, it's such a, none of us are really the biggest footy fans or anything, but we realise how big this is and how much
as
of an
Australians,
opportunity.
you kind of get
The footy culture is huge.
Yeah,
of course,
you get
of
the
course.
big
It's
deal. of it.
massive.
It's a massive honour for us.
I'm a Queenslander, so I understand the NRL appeal, but I've never been a big footy guy. But when I saw it come through, I was like, oh, that's massive.
Yeah.
That puts you in a very small club of heavy boys at that level. You know what I mean?
To be in that list, you've seen Architects, Bring Me, Parkway. I think Royal Blood has done it too. Houses, and to be now a part of that conversation, to be a part of that list is far out. All right.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's really cool. We did that. That's we're on TV. Holy shit, we're on TV.
Was there any kind of no, you're right, dude. Was there any kind of conversation in the camp with the boys about what songs to play and how you present Polaris to a potentially much wider audience that may have never heard you guys before?
We obviously had our own feelings about what we wanted to do. We also wanted to work with the team and what they wanted. The Remedy was actually a request from them.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a banger.
Yeah, it is a banger. We have also. I just don't know what I'm allowed to say, really. Now that I think about it, we filmed something else with them, and that'll be coming out later.
Okay.
And that's from Fatalism, so that'll be highlighted highlighted later in the season, I believe.
But I mean, that's cool for new fans too, because they get a taste of the beginning of Polaris, you know, when you guys really got your pop, and then the new shit, the current shit.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
See, them wanting the revenue, like it makes sense. It made so much sense. The song, the what they wanted to do with it and
It's a
everything.
footy tackle track.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
It's the scrum track.
It's the scrum track.
So, I guess you guys have been on the road a lot. You've been touring Fatalism, you've been playing all over the world. What's it like to come home and to do something like Knotfest? How do you approach the Knotfest set?
I mean, this is, apart from we did halfway through last year, we did a big regional tour around Australia, but this is our first main city show since our Fatalism tour. So
That's crazy.
We've been very excited to itching to play. Like, you know, that tour was quite long ago now for us, and to play a show of this scale in the main cities is something we've been really hanging to do for a while.
I think it's kind of the perfect show back for us too. You know, like it's so exciting for us to be playing with all these bands. So exciting for us to be playing under Slipknot. And yeah, I mean, because it is a festival, and we have, you know, a really great set length and set time. We've been able to pull out a few different stops to try out a few different things we don't normally do. Make it a bit more of a festival set. So keen to see how all of that shakes out today, to be honest.
I caught you on stage, Jamie, with In Heart's Wake. Kind of like blowing off the cobwebs a little bit. Was very sick.
Yeah, our first opportunity that we've actually had to do this. So Jake hit me up 2 weeks ago. Where he was like, "Hey, we're playing Hellbringer. Are you down to do it?" I'm like, "Hell yeah!" Like, I'm actually home when you're on tour now, and we're doing the same show. So like, why the heck wouldn't I? Like,
fuck yeah.
Very. That was a lot of fun. It was like a little bit of a warm up to get a taste of what's to come later on. It was good to get that done. It's been I mean, that song's been out that came out COVID 2022, I think.
I think 2022, that sounds right.
Many missed opportunities to be able to play that with them, so it was great to hop on.
Speaking of what's to come, I guess the conversation will turn now to like what's next for Polaris. Like, you're kind of coming towards the end of the Fatalism cycle, I think. Are you guys riding? Are you thinking about riding? What's happening?
Yeah, we've had a couple like loose riding sessions. You know, I think it's very much been like we took quite a bit off to, I guess, focus on ourselves, you know, get a bit, recuperate, kind of reset, and kind of also take the time to figure out what that will realistically look like and like start moving forwards.
There's been a bit of distance since the last time we rode, I think, which is, I think, as Jamie says, was probably just necessary at the time, and we wanted to really just focus on the shows we're putting on and just being out there. And there has been like bits and pieces that are written that we're excited to get into, but I think now we're starting to crack down into earnestly starting to get into it a bit more,
Exactly.
which is good. I think that sometimes when you race into the next record, you kind of still feel the last one on you, and to have that buffer and time, I think, has got us really excited for what we want to try to accomplish with this one. So hopefully it's an exciting and fun process for us, which always makes it a bit.
I mean, so far it has been. Like, I felt like we were all equally as eager and pumped to get in and start writing some new music. You know. Yeah.
When you haven't got that drive, and you stick yourself in a room and you try to write and you try to get things cracking.
I'm sure forcing it will never really feel right.
It's
and
not.
you know when it's
never a great place to be. It never feels great. It becomes a grind. Writing can be a grind when we are trying to get to a point that we're happy with, but. Yeah, you want that excitement. And,
that's kind of been a consistent
enthusiasm.
theme with like everyone that I've spoken to today. They're all talking about writing, and they're like, when it feels right, we'll do it. And then that's kind of the vibe.
It can be a bit of a mental game, I think. I don't think people really talk about that enough. It's some bands manage to just write prolifically, and sometimes they get into periods where they really, they struggle and no one's coming up with any ideas and no one's really feeling it. And I think in those times, especially to take your time with it and to feel good about what you are coming up with. And there's never really any race to put out the next record, because if it's not something you're proud of, no one really wants to hear it anyway.
That's sick. To close, because I know we're going to the end of our slot, what was your gateway Slipknot track? The core memory. The core Slipknot memory.
I've got it already.
You get
let's go.
No, I'll let you go.
So I remember being shown them in high school, and it was very early in my heavy music journey, and I just remember being, that is scary, I don't want anything to do that. satanic. No, and then one day I just came across, I went out and I bought the Wait and Bleed, the single, which has the song and I think 2 other songs on it.
Yeah.
And that was the song, that was it. Like, alright, this is cool. They're not as scary as I thought that they looked. Like, they're not actually satanic. And
It's a pretty good gateway, I think.
Since then, it's just everything.
For me, it was I wasn't even a heavy music fan yet. And it was early 2000s. Subliminal Versus Volume 3 just come out, and my friend showed me the music video for Duality. I was just over at his house for a sleepover, and he was like, "You've got to see this music video. This is the craziest thing ever. Like, they just tear this house apart." And I was just like absolutely transfixed. Like, there's this gritty, crusty-looking band with masks on, and just like doing the most dangerous-looking performance with everybody around them.
Yeah.
And I was just so hooked on it. That was it.
Would you say that still stands as like your favorite song of
It is definitely. It is one of them. I think it might be my favorite. It's a classic. Like,
It's a banger.
It is honestly such a great track.
I still love Wait and Bleed, but I'd say my favorite all-time track of theirs is People Equal Shit.
Oh,
that comes in like I am maybe coming out of mosh retirement tonight.
Do it.
Yeah, like 100%. I want to crawl on top of someone if they're playing that.
I'm worried for that crowd,
But
dude.
here's it coming out, I'm running there.
I've seen you. You get scary.
I'm so excited to not even to be playing with Slipknot, like to see Slipknot for one, but to have the opportunity to share the stage with them for the next couple of shows.
It is the tip of the bucket list for everybody in the heavy scene.
That's so sick. Boys, I think that's all we've got. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having
This
us.
has been wonderful. Thank you.
It's awesome.
Thank you, Jamie.
Cheers, mate.
I saw the signs, the signal fires, the birds are come down now. Rising tides and violent skies, all the world was standing still. Defenseless as a rat-eaten king. Living with our backs to the wall, from the minute we wake, too sedated to notice.
Alright, we are backstage at Knotfest, feature Discontent. Owen here again, and we have Rob and Rory from Shikari. How's up, fellas? How you doing?
Yeah, good, man. Adjusting to the heat.
Yeah.
Because it's winter back home, obviously,
Okay.
so this is a bit of a shock to our systems.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have been here enough. I'm sure you're familiar with the change.
Yeah, we're getting used to it.
Getting the tan ready, getting the singlets
No,
out.
well, I was just talking about that with a couple of folks over there. There's no point in trying to tan, because as soon as we go back home, it just like drains out of us anyway.
Right,
The grey English skies just suck it out of us. so I don't even try anymore.
Okay, that's fair. You guys were last here for Good Things in 2023, and we managed to catch you guys. Great set, great fest. What have you guys been up to since then?
We've been doing just lots more touring.
Yeah.
We've been touring in the studio. Yeah, just
Lots of
general
touring.
band stuff.
Speed of band, yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, what did we do? A long American one, we did UK, Europe, all over, festivals all over, Download Festival in the UK, other...
Did I see some Latin America dates? Did you guys play like...
we did Mexico.
Okay. That's
So
what
Latin, annoyingly, we've never been Central or South America.
Okay.
The furthest south we've been is Mexico, which is still North America.
It's
So
like untamed ground for Shikari.
Yes,
You gotta
yeah,
get to,
I'm
like,
still-
Argentina or
we would absolutely love to.
You heard it here first. Get them out there. Promote us. Let's do it. I also saw that it is the 10th anniversary of Minesweep this year. How are you guys feeling about that? Looking back on the catalog and where you guys were at 10 years ago. How does it feel?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I still think Minesweep is one of my favourite albums we've done.
Yeah.
It's crazy to sing it.
It went so fast.
Yeah. I remember when we were recording that, is when I first told these guys that I was having a kid.
Oh, wow.
So
Well, what was that
I
conversation?
remember it well. It wasn't really a conversation.
I had no idea how to tell them, because like, none of my friends had kids, none of these guys had kids.
Yeah, to
I
rip that
just showed
band
them
there.
the photo of the scan.
Guys, I got something to show you. Just showed us his phone with
And they're all looking at him, there was just an awkward silence for like 5 seconds, and they were
Like,
like,
is that a fan
what
or
is that? What is that?
Yeah.
Right, kid.
So does that mean you've got a 10-year-old?
She's 11 actually. Because it was like we recorded it like a year before the release.
That's crazy. How does it feel being like a dad, but then also being in a touring band?
It's great. Yeah. It's like, you know, I think a lot of dads sort of, you know, often like look forward to like going away for the stag things or
Sure.
blah, blah, like, or like, you know, but I get to like go on a stag do like every other week.
With the boys.
Essentially, yeah. No,
Which
but
would make home life much sweeter, I imagine, right?
Sorry?
It would make home life much sweeter.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because when I'm home, I'm like, all of my energy is at home. And, yeah, it's great. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I do miss the family when I'm away. They miss me. I think.
Yeah. I think that's fairly so. Yeah.
But yeah, it's good.
Yeah, awesome. You guys are coming to the end of what I assume would be the end of the album cycle for Kiss for the Whole World. Looking back on that record, how are you guys feeling about the record's reception, and are you starting to think about the next one? Are you working on the next one? Can you give us any kind of like tidbits of info?
Well, you're always a bit nervous when you've finished a new record, and that moment between having written it, recorded it, and it's all done and packaged up and hasn't been released yet. And you have the big release like week, and we were amazed that ours got to #1 in the UK, which we were very proud of. Our first #1 album, which is a great indication of people liking it, but you can never really tell sort of how much they've taken it into their heart until you start playing it live.
Yeah.
And so when we start playing the shows, playing the songs live, and you see their reaction with your own eyes, that's when you can really gauge how, like, you know, how much they've really taken to it. And this album, yeah, they've absolutely loved it. Some absolute sort of live bangers in there that get the crowd fucking going for it. And so we're at that point. We're at the point now. Well, we haven't actually finished recording. We've been working on our next new material. We haven't finished recording it yet. But we're still at that point where sort of you don't know how it's going to land with the audience. Like, you know, the thing is, it's our 8th album now, and we just keep doing what we've always done, which is to create music that we love, and then it ends up that our fans love it as well.
Yeah.
So I don't think this one will be any different. I think fans are going to love it just as much as our other music because we love it, you know, and we're really excited by what we're working on at the minute. So hopefully that translates to our audience the same way that the other albums have.
Yeah, hell yeah. Rory, what about you?
I'm super confident about this next one. Yeah, like I like everything just feels great about like all the songs just feeling really strong, and yeah, that's really exciting. And like Rob was saying, you know, we've done this 8 times now, and like every time it gets a bit easier to like have the confidence in it before it comes out.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, well the last 7 were fine, so it's going to be fine.
And also, we're talking about it now, but realise we haven't even finished writing and recording it yet.
Okay.
So like release is going to be a long way off. Yeah. So don't be like, you know.
Like the positivity is high.
Yes,
Things are boding well. That's good. Working on like 8 albums, you've got such a depth of a back catalogue. What's it like putting together a set for something like Knotfest that we did for today? Like, you're playing a festival slot, you've got to like curate a vibe for the time that you're on stage. How do you go through the back catalogue to like pick the hits?
It's one of the fucking biggest pains in the arse. Choosing the
do you delegate?
choosing the set list. Well, we kind of just put it off until finally someone breaks.
Yeah, we generally have like a lot, like, because like the tour before this, we like made a completely new set. It's like a full headline set, like an hour and a hal's worth of music. So for festival season, we generally just pick from that. So like whatever set we did last, we'll just pick a set list from that. But yeah, I mean it's hard. Like Rob was saying, you know, we have like meetings that go on for hours, where we're going backwards and forwards about what we want to do, and it doesn't go anywhere. And then eventually, one person just chucks a load of random songs together, and everyone's like, yeah.
That'll do. I can't be bothered to talk about this any longer. Sure, that'll fucking do.
Pure chaos. That's great.
It's chaos, yeah.
A lot of it is quite creative and fun because we look at ways that we can sort of blend the songs into each other, how the set will flow. And so what, you know, you want to start with your sort of coming out with a strong, good start to a set, and you want to sort of finish the set. Okay, so what have we got in between this first song and the last song? How can they merge to each other? You can look at the ones that have a similar like speed, like BPM, and they're in the same key, so that maybe you can transition from that song nicely into that song, or like if there's think about a good point for a break in the middle, so you can say a few words to the audience.
So Round
can get on and do his thing, maybe a speech or two, or just sort of getting some kind of interaction with the audience. And then, the pace of the set. And today we've only got 45 minutes, but if we're doing an hour and 15, then we don't want to just hammer it with all the fast, heavy songs the entire way through the set. It gets a bit much.
It's an endurance thing for you guys, right? Like,
well, it's a bit much for us as well. Yeah, exactly.
A couple of breathers in there.
We're not as young as we used to be. We're not quite at the point of going backstage for some oxygen and coming out again. But yeah, it is nice to have some sort of slower, quieter moments and then pick it back up. And it helps just the dynamics of the set. But like I said, today is 45 minutes, so it's more of the sort of pedal to the metal, kind of full throttle the whole way through. This one.
We actually have a spreadsheet that we work on where it has like a whole catalogue of music, and then like the BPMs, the tempos.
Big spreadsheet, guys. I'm loving the sound of this.
But yeah, like
cool. The set list makes
Is it color coded, Rory?
It's not color coded.
It will be tomorrow.
As we wrap up, I want to throw it over to you guys to ask individually, what was the first time that you guys heard Slipknot? And can you think of a song or where you were when you heard it for the first time? And how life-changing was it for you?
Well, mine was when Duality came out. I was straight off. Yeah, and obviously I was just like, I wouldn't say it was life-changing, but I really liked it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I remember playing rugby in high school, and that was like one of the songs that I used to like pump myself up to like go out and be very shit at rugby. So that's like the core memory.
Go out, get yourself beaten up. It's the perfect music to
F grade rugby, like not good. What about you, Rob?
I can't remember the first time. The first time I heard them, I think maybe it was my girlfriend at the time. I think was really into them. Played me some. But I think it was when they first struck me was when I saw them live. It felt like there was 20 people on stage or something, all with these crazy masks, and the wild spectacle of it all the fire going off, and there's a lot of, with those big metal drums, there's a kind of tribal influence into it that sort of really is engaging and exciting, and yeah, it was watching them live that really drew me in.
Yeah, the live show is definitely the book, I think, so pumped for today, and hope for you guys to do your thing. Thank you very much for coming on the show, guys. That's it.
Thanks for having us. Thank you.
Thanks.
Nice one.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Rory.
You can hear us, set ourselves alight, oh let me transcend, and be a flicker in your eyes, wait for the spark, I'm no good at goodbye, I wanna be ash in the atmosphere, set me on fire, set me on fire, can you strike a match, make me disappear, set me on fire, set me on fire.
Subscribe now to the Pitch of Discontent Patreon to receive access to extended cuts of our bonus episodes, as well as exclusive behind-the-scenes content, monthly Patreon-only episodes, member-only votes, the TPD community chat, and much more. Go now to patreon.com/tpdpod and join for as little as $5 a month. That link again is patreon.com/tpdpod. Thanks for watching the show.